Review packet number 7. Lucky number 7, my favorite number, number 7. For the given piecewise functions, and there's two of these. You have f of x equals -2 when x is less than or equal to -1, and 4 minus x squared when x is greater than -1. Then you've got part B, f of x is equal to x squared minus 4 when x is less than or equal to 2, and x minus 3 when x is greater than 2. So this is really two problems built into one. So let's draw a line between these so we can separate these out, and we'll work each one separately here. Let's start with part A. All right, so finding f of -2. So we have to identify, is it the top one or the bottom one where -2 is at? Well, I think it's the top one because x's are less than or equal to -1, and -2 is less than or equal to -1. So it says put in -2 for x. Well, there is no x. Well, that's good because that means the answer is just going to be -2. Whatever is written right here, -2. It could ask us for f of -10, and the answer would be -2 because it's permanently set to -2. There are no variables that we can put -2 into. So whatever they give us right here is the answer. All right, f of 1. Well, again, is it the bottom one or the top one that we use 1 on? It's the bottom one because x is greater than -1. So we put in 1 for x, as in 4 minus 1 squared, which is the same as saying 4 minus 1, otherwise known as 3. So on part B, the answer is going to be 3. All right, now we need to graph the function. All right, so we need two x and y tables to do this. All right, so here's x and y on the first one. Again, we'll call this one part A for lack of a better term, and this will be part B. So for part A, we have an x and y. It says pick some points. Well, if we are less than or equal to -1, -1's a great point to put in there, and I get the same result no matter what I put in. I get -2. So let's use -1, -2, and -2, -2. Then for part B here, again, x and y. This time we are greater than -1. So we can't use -1, sort of. Remember, we're going to use it anyway here at the end, but not at the beginning. What's greater than -1? 0 is greater than -1. I put in 0, I get 4 minus 0. That's going to be 4. And let's take advantage of the fact we put in 1 in part B, and we know what the answer is already. It's 3. So those are two good points that'll work for this. Remember, this is going to be a parabola because it's x squared. And let's put in -1 anyway to see what happens. Remember, I'm going to draw that line to remind me it's not an actual solid point. -1, much like 1, is going to give us a very similar result. We're going to have 4 minus -1 squared. Well, -1 squared is the same as 1 squared, so the answer is 4 minus 1, otherwise known as 3 again. We've got that. All right, now we're ready to graph it. So let's do that down here at the bottom. All right, so for part A, we have -1, -2. So here's -1, and -2 is right here. So there's a point. And we've got -2 and -2 right about there. And so it's a line that goes to the left forevermore. Does not go to the right, because again, x is less than or equal to -1. So that's an important piece there. Now on part B here, we know that we have -1, 3. So there's -1. We need +3. So 1, 2, 3 right there. Remember, this is not a closed circle. It's an open circle. All right, then you've got 1, 3. So there's 1 right there and 3. And then finally we have 0, 4. Remember, this is parabolic, so this is going to go like this. And then start heading down and forevermore. And there we have it. We just graphed part A. All right, let's extend this line here so we don't mess up our part B. All right, in part B, again, it's kind of similar to part A. We find f of 2. Which one has 2 in it? Well, I see 2 on both of these, but only one of them, it equals that 2. So it's the first part, part 1, x squared minus 4. So if we put in 2 for x and square it and then minus 4, what we're going to get is 4 minus 4, otherwise known as 0. All right, for -2. Which one has -2 in it? Now, you might incorrectly assume, hey, I used the top one for the first one, so I better use the bottom one for the next one. But that's not correct, because it says the bottom one is greater than 2, and we have -2. Also goes into the top one once again here. So that's going to be -2 squared minus 4, which once again is 4 minus 4, otherwise known as 0. All right, so now we need to graph this function. So again, the top one's going to be a parabola. Got x squared. The bottom one is going to be a line. Let's do two x and y charts for ourselves. So for part A, this will be our parabola. All right, so we can use less than or equal to 2. So let's use 2 as our first point, and we already did that. That gives us one nice point. That was 0. We also did -2, and that gave us 0. And then for grins, let's get one more point in here. Let's use 0 itself, because that is less than 2. If we put in 0, we're going to get -4. All right, for part B, again, x and y. This time we are greater than 2. So greater than 2 is 3. You have 3 minus 3. That would be 0. Let's do 4. That would be 4 minus 3. That would be 1. And then, again, for grins here, we're going to draw this line. Let's put in 2 anyway. Let's see what happens here. You're going to have 2 minus 3. That is -1. All right, so over here, we're ready to put the graph together. So in the first one, we have 2, 0. So 1, 2. And there's our 2, 0. We also have -2, 0. Got that one. And we also have 0, -4. All right, so this one here, which is less than or equal to 2, has a parabola here that starts at this 2 value and then goes down and then comes up and then keeps on going. So there it looks as our first part of it. Part B, we have 3, 0. So here's 3, and here's 3, 0. And then we have 4, 1. So let's put 1 in here, and here's 4. So 4, 1 is right about there. And then finally, we also have 2, -1. So right about here, let's call it. But again, this one needs to be an open circle. And then we're going to draw these, put an arrow there, and call that one good as well. Remember, if you don't hit the line, just draw your point just a little bit bigger. And there we have it. Review question number 7.